Welcome to Mic Check Waifu Waifu.
Mic check, waifu. Tell, is that you?
Episode 280, what's going on?
This is episode 280 of Mic Check Waifu. As always, it's brought to you by Patreon. Patreon.com/Mic Check Waifu is where you can get early access to the video version of the podcast, where you can get access to the Patreon exclusive podcast, the after stories, where you can get access to the pre-show. Announcement about the pre-show. Patreon just added a feature to where when I upload the pre-show video, you can actually get it in audio form on our Spotify feed. So if you have access to our Spotify feed, which the link is inside of our Discord, or if you need the link, feel free to message me anywhere and I can get it to you. If you support our Patreon, it'll be all unlocked for you and you get access to the after stories. And now the pre-shows are going to be over there as well. So make sure you check that out, which is super handy because the Patreon app stinks. And now you get access to our Patreon content a little bit easier, just a little bit easier with that Spotify podcasting feed over there. Mic Check Waifu couldn't be here without the Patreon producers. Shout out to the Patreon producers, Christian, the archivist, Rob from Dad Needs to Talk podcast, Fear, Glazed Yams, Ked, the Pro, Explicitly, All for One, Matt Mazer, Altor, Monique Williams, Semi Sensei, Frozen, Rob Stone, and last but not least, T Money Fingers. Shout out to Frozen for showing us his Spotify rap. His Spotify rap, we are his second most listened to podcast, which is incredible. Shout out to you, Frozen. We appreciate you. All right. Tell, how you feeling?
I'm good, bro. It has been a week. Programming is taking over my life at this point. And it's simple stuff to start off with, obviously. But it has been not mind-boggling, but eye-opening, so to speak, of how many different things that you do in your day-to-day that just make sense in the world of programming. But outside of that, yeah, bro, it's been a good week. How you feeling this week?
Great, man. Great. I'm ready to get this week over as well. And to do that, let's end it right with anime. Again, this is the Anime Podcast. It's brought to you every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. CT. We bring you anime topics on everything. We got a big episode for you today. So today we are going to cover some community comments, which is always fun, as well as a little brief discussion on everything that's going on in our realm of anime right now, especially considering this fall season. So without further ado, Tell, what was your episode of the week this week?
I'm gonna go with one and you're gonna pick the other one. I'm gonna start with TsumaSho. Wow.
That was the one I was gonna go with. I'm gonna go with You Are Ms.Servant then.
There you go. That's the goal.
Easy enough. Yeah, You Are Ms.Servant was spectacular this week. We finally got some progress in something I'm not gonna mention, but watch TsumaSho. Please watch TsumaSho. It is spectacular. Real tears. I cried real tears this episode. It was quite sad because it was a moment where you understand, but it's still frustrating, but you understand. It's like it's an understand sandwich, if you will. So
that's a good way to put it. Understandwich.
Yeah, Understandwich. I think that's gonna be the name of this episode. Yeah, actually, that's kind of a great name for this episode for the comments we're going to discuss this week. The Discord episode of the week this week. Our Discord.miccheckwaifu for anybody to join. Feel free. Discord.miccheckwaifu.com. The Discord episode of the week this week You Are Ms.Servant. No. And then I'll just lie. I lied. I wanted it to be You Are Ms.Servant. But the real one is actually BlueBox. Yeah. The episode of the week this week is BlueBox for Discord. Great episode, by the way. Great episode for BlueBox. A lot of people talking about the intriguing developments that's going on and the maturity of some characters and how I was right. It's two things we got to talk about. Tell was right. Tell was right about reincarnated as an aristocrat, and I was right about BlueBox.
That's your genre, bro.
I know. It's upsetting to be right about that one, though. I didn't want to be, but it's either, you know, it's we could talk about it in the spoiler half of the show, which we will. BlueBox, TsumaSho, and what else? You know what I didn't watch this week?
What's that?
Bleach.
You didn't need to. It was what's his name? Mayuri. You know, the science.
His fight again. Okay.
Finishing up his fight. It was a little emotional, but not too emotional.
I didn't watch that.
A little butt pulley. You know how they do sometimes, but it was still good.
It's shonen. It's shown.
Yeah.
All right, Tell, talk to me. What did you watch this week before we get into the main topic of the show, which is community comments?
So I know last week's episode was Second Chances, but I gave an anime a chance. I knew I said I wasn't gonna give a chance like more than once. It's this super shonen-y Mecha Ood. Now the only reason I picked this up was because I'm scrolling through TikTok and I see somebody talk about a plot twist, and I'm here for a plot twist. I'm here for something to change and for me not to exactly get exactly what I was expecting out of this super shonen-y troped anime, which we will talk a little bit more about later. What I found interesting was that this anime was very easy to predict in the first 5 episodes. Now I haven't necessarily seen this. I haven't seen this like change or anything like that or plot twist yet. But I do think that in general convention, I can see why this would be a very popular anime.
What's the name of it again?
Mecha Ood. Mechanical Arms. So Mecha UDE / Mechanical Arms. And basically it's literally, and it's so funny because the art style, I'm gonna be real, I don't like this animation style. I don't. And it gets flashy when it does get flashy, but it's like a mix of Mob Psycho with a more like steady frame rate, so to speak. You know what I mean? Okay. It's not as hard lines, it's like a softer lines, but it has that same Mob Psycho look. Like the whole art style looks like that with softer lines and a more consistent frame rate. So it does actually it doesn't look bad, but sometimes you kind of see where the frame rate dips and whatnot. But the characters, oh my God, brother. It is so, and like I said, I'm not trying to like mash down on the shonen tropes, but the characters are not necessarily selling it. I actually liked the main character in the first episode more than I liked him in every episode after that. Mostly because he had this kind of like I don't want to be involved with this personality, and he turned around and did it because he didn't want specifically someone to be hurt. And I was like, oh, the way this started off, I was like, this could be like the next My Hero. And then every episode after that, I was like, nah, it's not gonna be that.
You said that like it was a compliment.
I mean, you know how My Hero started off pretty solid though. That's like true. It had that very emotionally driven and strong beginning where you're like, oh, I want to keep watching this. This, I feel like the first episode sold it more than the following episodes, and it was almost like, man, if this is a 3-episode rule, you dropped the ball. I'm going to keep watching it so I can see whatever this plot twist may be. But I'm already predicting that I think I know what it is, ironically enough. And if I'm right, I'm going to let you know. But I'm going to watch 5 more episodes. This ends this ends with 12 episodes. So I'm just going to catch up next week, and then I'll bring whatever my opinions are there and talk about it. But it's not bad. I would actually say if you're a beginner to shonen, like we talked about last week, entry level shonen, entry level anime, this is one of those that I could see young kids, young boys, young girls being interested in and saying, oh, I kind of like this. The characters are very obtuse, so I think that it could be easily digested. Yeah, 100% that. But it's not bad, it's just very predictable.
Yeah, so to piggyback off of that, this season has been the season to just watch shit and catch up, to be fair. Like I can almost count on one hand everything I'm watching. Like we got the review for Demon Lord 2099, and then really it's not really much else outside of the returning shows, with ReZero on break. I'm maybe watching 5 or 6 shows at the moment. What this is going to allow me to do, though, is we just talked about this in the pre-show, patreon.com/MikeCheckWaifuWaifu. But we just talked about this in the pre-show, but this might be a great time to pick up these anime that we are letting stack up for a binge, because usually when we say this, we don't have time to go back and binge those shows we were talking about binging at the season. So maybe, as the couple of weeks goes on, we can catch up on shows like Ari Frietta and Don Machi, or How to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon 5, right, as well as maybe finish up some shows that we didn't get to finish. Like, for example, I still got My Hero that I've never finished. I'm on episode 14 of. I was watching, like I said last week, I was watching Goblin Slayer, catching it up on Goblin Slayer season 2. I never finished that. But I think it's a perfect opportunity to watch a bunch of shows that didn't get finished. And I think this might be the only time we have to do it, because with winter coming up soon, which we talked about in the pre-show, we're going to give it 2 more weeks. So when we record our December 22nd show, that is going to be the anime winter preview. But I mean, this fall season is as strange as it is. Winter is even more strange because everything is coming out so late into the winter season that it's kind of hard to to kind of plan out our show how we normally do it, because when we normally do this, it kind of falls perfectly leading into the next season. But we're going to have kind of some gaps. Like, for instance, the winter shows don't start until about 30 days later from today, which is the 8th from where we're recording this. It's kind of tough. Yeah. Normally
we have some that start like the beginning of January, the end of December, and it's not enough of that right now to stack a list and even make it somewhat comprehensive.
Right. So what we decided to do was in 2 weeks, which is December 22nd, and that episode releases on Christmas Eve, actually, we're going to record our anime preview. So next week, the Discord thread, the anime preview is going to be released. So on the 17th, we're going to release the anime preview thread. So, get over there, join, make sure you join the conversation so we can make it a part of the show. As well as follow us on Blue Sky, MikeCheckWaifuWaifu.bluesky.social. That is the places to get in contact with us now, since we left the other site. All right, Tail. Let's get into this topic, shall we?
It's crazy.
It's a crazy conversation here. Not crazy, but community comments. Okay, community comments this week are going to feature two of our everybody that participates in our community visually are our favorites. So I'm gonna just say it. But Crystal and Rob Stone. Rob Stone we haven't heard from in a while because he's been playing catch up, and he's finally caught up. And he left us one of the longest comments, the community comments we've ever had on this entirety of this show, and we're going to read it all. Okay, thick. Because we got to break it down paragraph by paragraph so we can have a discussion about it all. So we're gonna start off with Crystal though. Crystal Light. She says the thing we mentioned, and she's referring to last week's episode 279. She says the thing that was mentioned earlier in the episode. I can't remember if y'all asked, but I listen to y'all because y'all don't necessarily talk about mainstream stuff, because I truly don't watch mainstream that much. With where I am now, I'm 98% moved for romance, rom-com, wholesome, and/or fantasy. If there is a decent storyline, action is fine occasionally, and if there's a decent story and characters behind it. That being said, I'm glad I never picked up Don to Don for whatever the fuck that's called. Because the way y'all were talking about it made my eye twitch. I feel like my taste falls somewhere in the middle of both of you. And
that eye twitch is crazy.
The eye twitch is crazy. What she's referring to is we talked about last week how when Tel was discussing Daima, Dragon Ball Daima, and how I was saying that I'm glad that he's bringing it up because we don't have any of the mainstream coverage on our podcast. That was what that comment was referring to, because we really don't talk mainstream stuff at all. Like, we find the most obscure shit, and the goal of the Mic Check Waifu podcast is find the most obscure stuff, speak about it in as much detail as we can, and see if it's a taste that you guys can acquire as well, and join us with us as far as the discussion goes. What's interesting about what she said is that she listened to us because we don't cover the mainstream stuff. That part I found interesting, because I've always found that I always felt like that not covering the mainstream stuff was detrimental to us. Mm-hmm. When in reality, if this is how Crystal feel, maybe it's not. What you feel about that? What say you, Tel?
I feel like I assume that this is how we was that the community that we have, while mainstream isn't necessarily completely pushed off to the side, because we do cover like Bleach and whatnot, mm-hmm. that our purpose is to bring non-mainstream to the mainstream, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's at our detriment to not talk about mainstream. I think it's at our behest. It's a bolstering effect for us, because we're bringing something that people aren't generally talking about. And while people are talking about things that aren't necessarily mainstream, because of course people are going to talk about some of these anime, I think that it's important that we have done what we do, if that makes sense.
So, question for you then: Do you feel like we should keep? Because sometimes this is the way I feel, and I'm gonna be completely transparent with everybody here that listens to us. Sometimes I feel like I don't want to talk about stuff like, for example, Undead Unluck or Don to Don, or shows that are exudingly popular and everybody love, because when I talk about it, I know that I'm going to be negative because of the fact that it's just not my shit. And we're going to talk about what Rob said a little bit later on, because he kind of touches on it nicely, but I just feel like I shouldn't talk about it. Is that a bad idea? Should I just continue to just be me?
Nah, bro. So definitely talk about it. 100%. That's what we're here for. This is our podcast. Ain't nobody gonna tell us what to talk about.
Well, it's not anybody telling me. It's just I feel like it's just I'm beating down what people love, and I don't like that feeling.
I can understand that, right? But I don't think that you, and others may feel this way, I don't think that you harp on something too long to necessarily beat down on it. I do think that sometimes we can, but that is the fun of what we do sometimes. That's Black the Clover. Antagonist moments or anything like that. We have the ones that we will intentionally pick with for a reason. Yeah, sure. And we generally have that reason. But like for like shows like Don to Don or Kaiju number 8 or whatever, right? Anything that we watch, we've always found good in it. And I think that that's the point, is like I said, it's mainstream. It's going to have a mainstream appeal. Right. And mainstream don't appeal to everybody. Even for us. I've never been a person who listened to a lot of mainstream music even. Like, I prefer underground music, always have been. You know this. We used to download unheard music all the time. Just that's all we listened to, because that was the vibe. But it's not to say that that's a contrarian in us. Yes, but we have a different taste for things that might not necessarily be mainstream, and that's fine. Yeah, and it's not to say that in that taste we're going to tear mainstream down. We just do what we do for a reason.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, because I feel so, I'm like, I just can't. I look at myself and I'm like, damn, I can't see what everybody else is seeing. And maybe maybe my opinion, which is universally a false thing to even say, but maybe my opinion is wrong, you know, like, but obviously it's my opinion, so it can be. But I feel like when people hear some of the things I say about some of the stuff they love, they want to turn it off. And I mean, the numbers don't show that. So I guess that's not the case, but it just feels like that's what I would cause to happen when recording this podcast sometimes. And maybe I just need to say fuck it and bring back Antagonist and get the pain music going and get the destroying shit with how I really feel.
And I think,
why not?
So here's also another thing, right? And this is just how we know the world works this way. Mm-hmm. You got to have highs and lows, and you gotta draw a line, right? If you, let's say for instance, we say we don't like Black Clover. We know we don't like Black Clover. Anybody who come here and they love Black Clover, they know we don't like Black Clover.
We got review comments about that.
So if we drop a Black Clover video just thrashing Black Clover, sadly enough, it'll probably bring clicks to our podcast. But we don't drop those clips because that's not the kind of people we are.
Yeah, too.
But you gotta have that dichotomy where you're like, hey, nah, bro, I want to be able to say full-heartedly or wholeheartedly that Fairy Tail is not my jam, and I want to tell you why it's not. And you got to kind of just not be opposed to telling people why you don't like it, because you might find, I guess how people would say, your tribe. You find the people who want to hear you because, oh no, they don't like it for this reason. Let's see what they do like for whatever reason. And then they find out, oh, we love 86. They watch 86 and all of a sudden they fall in love with 86. And now they listening to our podcast every week. Yep. That's how we've built this little group called Mic Check Waifu from the ground up.
Yeah, what's fun about this is that I had a thought and I lost it. Shit. Come back. What's good about it is that it's gone. Fuck. I hate when that happens. Don't y'all hate when that happens? I hate when that happens.
Was it about how we built the group?
No, it's before that.
Fairy Tail.
Oh, okay, here it is. I got it. So it's what I think is great about what we do is the fact that we can articulate why we don't like something with reasons I think people can find reasonable, right? Like to just say I don't like something because of animation, or I don't like something because of this, or something that's simple or surface level, because we don't say anything that's just plain surface level nonsense and give detailed reasons on why we don't like certain things. I think it also contributes to what we also fostered here, which helps a lot in that, right, in the case of hating something that everybody loves. You know what I mean?
And I also think that's another very important point, is that we have an ecosystem within this community that we've built, right? Mm-hmm. That I think is very interesting, because we'll have comments that are very short, informal, and just say a quick thing like Boombox Bill, who said, you know, this is my theory, versus like what Rob Stone just did, or what Crystal might do, where Crystal might just share her list, and it's very informal, but she's showing us a list of stuff that she's talking to us about because we are basically friends at this point. Oh yeah. But then you have Christian archivists who will go from the same informal, you know, using emojis and ROFL or whatever, to a full breakdown of Japanese language and structures and whatnot. Yeah, it's just great. This community is both an informal and it's almost like a study group. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's the anime book club at this point. We choose what we're watching and we talk about that. Mm-hmm. And that's why I feel like this community is so close knit as it is, because we have that duality to say this is something quick we're going to talk about, but we also break it down bit by bit, section by section if we have to. Yeah, we have the people that be like, listen, I don't agree with y'all and this is why. And exactly, even though y'all feel this way, but this is how I feel. And it's always great conversation. All right, so let's go to Crystal's. We're going to touch on what we talked about last week, which was second chances. She said 2 shows that I gave a second chance to, I think, that I can think of, are SAO and Clannad. I hated SAO season 2 so much that I didn't want to finish it, but I forced through, and I don't regret it because we got Alicization,
which ties it all up so nicely.
So nice.
Clint, one of my friends at the time in college made me watch episode 1, and I refused to watch anything after because I knew it was deemed as one of the saddest shows of all times. And then I was persuaded by y'all and suffered. I'll never forgive Polo for this.
Yo, wholeheartedly. And you know what, Crystal? I'm with you.
And this is
I'm bringing out the torches. I'm bringing out the torches and pitchforks.
And Crystal, don't think we be seeing what she be saying, but we be seeing what she be saying. And she says, I also was not prepared to be called out for refusing to pick the 2 of the big 3, because I mentioned that I'm sad that she didn't choose Naruto and chose One Piece, because One Piece is never going to end. And at least Naruto has a definitive end, and it's actually really good if you don't count Boruto. But I digress.
Right. Boruto is not the end of Naruto.
So second chances, man. Second chances. What a fun topic that was. That ended up being more fun than we even thought it was going to be at the beginning of the show. Because Trillion game, that beat my ass though. Hearing you talk about that beat me up.
And hear me out, bro. It still has not gotten any better.
I'm sure. Yeah, of course it hasn't. It's just bad.
Oh, that's garbage. But
it's
going to get finished just to get added to the list, and then I'm going to be like, what was that? X-Arm. Just how I tell people you don't want to complete X-Arm. And it's just another one of those things on the list you can tell people you want to watch something really bad. This is it.
Valid point, because that's how I feel about King's Game. One of the worst anime of all time. I think it's still rated as one of the lowest ever. Which is funny enough.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Sliding on in the community comments to our guy, Patreon producer Rob Stone. He says, buckle up. This will be a long comment. So you want to start off with this one? Because this is your, I guess, starting off with your jam.
All right. On Daima, I'm a big fan so far. The quality of the animation, general adventure plot are hitting for me. Maybe it's because I missed the entirety of Super, but this the only way I am happy with a show with Goku as an MC still. Take away from the everywhere we have been before, and use magic as a way to acknowledge that Goku is objectively the strongest, but faces different challenges and isn't just stuck healing or getting to Namek. There's a lot of nostalgia there for me, but I like it so far being more like OG Dragon Ball than Super.
Okay.
And I agree. It's so much more like OG Dragon Ball. And even like I talked about before, the fighting, it just feels like OG Dragon Ball, where instead of Goku flying and floating in the air and doing a Kamehameha, he's actually running on the ground, jumping. It feels almost more like Naruto fighting mixed with Dragon Ball, if that makes sense. It feels like a much more thrilling way to even watch how they engage, even with Vegeta and things that just happened in this most recent episode, and finding out Majin Ku. There's so many different things that are crazy to see in this, and there's details that they're giving us that lore wise are very interesting. But this is legitimately, I don't care what nobody say. To me, it's already better than Dragon Ball Super from beginning to end. And Dragon Ball Super had a 28-minute 12 episode season. It was 28 minutes of a fight, and it was for 12 episodes, probably more, 20 episodes, something like that. So yeah, bro, this has already been so much better, so much more enticing. And the fact that the characters are kids doesn't actually take away from it, which is crazy.
Okay, so that was in regards to the Diamond conversation that we had at the beginning of episode 279. Now moving on, with regards to entry-level anime, this is something we also talked about in 279 a little bit, and it's kind of in reference to what we talked about when it comes to the shitting on or just not really praising or talking about popular anime. He says, I think you were conflating entry-level anime with shonen, which is often but not always true. It's clear that the basic shonen is not to Polo's taste. When talking about Kaiju number 8, you made it apparent that the weakest aspects of the show, in your opinion, were the most tropey. The main character hiding his power and not going all out, his training arc as a normal human, and you wanted it to focus on the twists on the genre. The older MC, him being openly a monster, Same with Don. I think because of your personal preference and experiences in watching a lot of anime, you tend to be more critical of entry level shows, and because of it is the most basic / foundation level of the genres for a lot of people. That means talking down about shonen and its tropes a lot of the times. Interesting concepts. I'm gonna continue on because this is kind of in reference. He says, Tell raised BlueBox as an example of a simpler and still tropey show that you enjoy. And I think that is a great point. BlueBox is not a complex show when you break it down. It mashes up two of very standard stories. High school, guy likes girl, but can't talk to her because he is afraid. And they live together in another trope. And that's another trope. And then he says, and childhood girl that likes the guy, but he is oblivious. Fairly standard love triangle. Likewise with the sports, guy and the girl train hard with the aim of making nationals. Nationals here is the story of, and here's the story of their ups and downs on the way. The two interviewing stories are simple and rely on well-worn tropes, and that to me makes it a good getaway / entry anime for sports fans and to enjoy romance and vice versa. For sports fans to enjoy romance and vice versa. This reinforced that in the show. I got to go to another page because it's going to another page. This reinforces that in Shonen Jump / manga, and so is it is written for younger readers in mind. However, it is executed very well, and you are a fan of romance anime, so you are happy to watch this particular entry level anime. That's why I think your issue is more with shonen anime specifically than the entry level anime. You're conflating the two because shonen anime is often most guys' first exposure to anime as a whole, and it gets more attention as an entry level. Nah. Okay, I guess I gotta continue. You want to stop here? You can because it says it's more to continue on to that.
All right. So you said nah before we go on to the next part, right? Sure. Why are you saying nah already?
I'm saying nah because conflating entry level with shonen. There are shonen entry level, I still think are considered entry level anime that can still be enjoyable without the atypical be usual tropes. Now comparing BlueBox trope, quote unquote, to the entry level shonen is a little bit, I guess, I want to say misguided, but it's not misguided. It's well put. I don't think it's very fair because this isn't typical trope. Well, okay. What are we considering a trope here, right? We're considering a trope a girl likes guy. I think he's conflating life, slice of life with trope. You know what I'm saying? Life. For one, the sports in this kind of love triangle affair thing doesn't happen in anime almost ever. It's rare. It's few and far between, I should say. I shouldn't say it doesn't happen, but it's few and far between. And I don't find it to be tropey because it's life. How else do you do life with life? You know what I'm saying? Like it's just life. Shonen, when I think of tropes, I think of shit that is, I guess you can call it camp. Mm-hmm. And there's shonen that I enjoy that it is not tropey, like Hell's Paradise. I bring up Hell's Paradise as a perfect example. I think that's a great shonen anime that doesn't fall in the bag of tropey. You know what I mean?
Okay. So with that being said, right? When I think of tropey, I think of like the misunderstanding aspect of BlueBox being tropey. And that's something that we've talked about prevalently to say like that is irritating, sure. Just discuss it, talk it out. Now on the aspect of BlueBox, we do have one person who's at least making statements to like clear the air. But there's still misunderstandings being had. There's still no direct conversation. There's still things going unsaid, right? Which is a very tropey aspect of this specific genre. And then you like Hell's Paradise, which man, it's such a good anime. I almost compare Hell's Paradise to like Samurai Champloo, where like it can be an entry level.
Sure,
but how old? Because I feel like if you were a kid watching Hell's Paradise, it might be a bit much.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like if you were a kid watching Samurai Champloo, like what level of your maturity are you at to watch that?
I understand.
So if you were like 16 watching Samurai Champloo, Hell's Paradise, 14 maybe even depending on your maturity. I think we would have been mature enough. But let's say you were 10 or 12, you might be like, I don't quite understand.
That's making a lot of sense. That's making a lot of sense.
But that's where, because I feel like there's different levels to entry level, which there's different levels of everything, obviously. But that's I guess that's kind of where I'm seeing it, because I don't necessarily think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong. I do think that Hell's Paradise is a great entry level if you were older in your entry level. You know what I mean?
Which is technically not considered shonen, right? Because isn't that a different name for that? Don't they call that something different? Sanin or some shit like that?
Yes. Senin, something like that, yeah.
Yes. Okay. No, you might be right. And this goes into what Rob was saying. He says, in a sense, it seems to be, to me, more of a personal preference thing for each of us. What Polo considers an entry anime, especially a shonen one, isn't enough for him so it needs a twist / hook to bring him in. But that may not be the case for other genres, where he is happy to see more of a world trodden or more world tropey story done well. It's the same for me with fantasy novels. I don't read every book. I read row to
be.
Oh, I read to be. Sorry, it's a typo. I read to be. I'm perfectly happy to slip back and read a tropey simple story by an author if it tell it well, even if it's aimed at a younger, less well-read readers. Okay, so valid point. It obviously, all of this is personal preference, right? Everything that we talk about is personal preference. And it isn't enough for him. It needs a twist or a hook. I don't know though.
That specific part, it made me think. I thought about myself on that, and I say that because I was thinking about Hitman Reborn. I gave Hitman Reborn.
You did. I remember that. 5
different chances, bro. I got 10 episodes in, 20 episodes in, 30 episodes in, and people keep telling me the hook is at episode 25. I did not feel it. But it's a very shonen tropey anime. I could not get into it. And like you said, I've talked about it several times, me trying to watch it several times, like a literal 5 handful times. There's not a hook for me. And I think that I've surpassed that level.
Yep.
At this point, I'm not a 12-year-old anymore. I can't watch it. Pokemon already has its teeth in me. But I don't go and watch every Pokemon season. You know what I mean? So
I think I'm coming around. I think I'm coming around on this comment because of the fact is that it does need a hook. There's no excuse for anything to be simple and honestly, to me, boring. And that goes into what he said at the beginning of this, is that we are well traveled in a space of anime. So if we see the same typical tropey shit and we don't enjoy it, that's the reason why. It's like we've fucking numbed ourselves to, because when I was in 7th grade, I enjoyed the hell out of Dragon Ball Z. Like Z specifically was phenomenal to me. And it was one of the greatest things since sliced bread. And then I traveled outside of the shonen, and then that's when everything changed. Now, am I able to enjoy Slice of Life more because of personal preference? Sure. But I do think Slice of Life offers more of and this is about to sound crazy because you guys are absolutely right. It is the same misunderstandings and the same girl likes guy and the same, or guy likes girl, whatever that case may be. But it's so, to me, it feels vehemently different because of the characterization of the characters. How well are the characters written determines how much I enjoy these stories. Like TsumaSho, for fuck's sakes. That is, what? It is so above board, like above level of anything else. even BlueBox in this particular case, yes, it's the simple tropey stuff, but it's how well versed the characters are, how well written the characters are. Because yes, the guy he's not communicative with his feelings, but that's intentional. The reason for that being is because of the sport that they both are into. He has a goal in mind. His goal is to make it to national, so then he can confess his situation. But because of the situation and the misunderstandings that ensues with this quote unquote trope, that it turns into a story that's so push and pull and emotional, right, and more, it's deeper than just that surface level description that Rob Stone gave, which I don't think, that's why I felt that it wasn't fair at first, because while it does have those very minute, simple things, it's also deeper than that because of how well written it is. But I'm coming around because he's right. It just needs to have that hook. And that hook part is, I think, extremely important. We've seen it all. And I think even people who are new to anime seen it all. Right?
I think that, so the hooks change though, you know what I mean? Yeah. So as a kid,
not that they have changed, they need to change.
Yeah, as a kid though, things like Pokemon or Beyblade or Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever hooked you because of the monsters. It was different than what you had already seen. Yeah. Like you said, we've seen it all. So you can't just throw monsters in something and think, okay, I like that. It's the same with video games. You can't just throw out the same exact game archetype and then don't put anything specific or new to you in it and think we're going to love it just because you gave us the exact same thing from Elder Scrolls that we've been playing already. You got to kind of switch things up. And I think that even now, like if you look at what you enjoy now, right? Polo would have never given 86 a chance at the beginning of the podcast.
No.
And Polo gave 86 a chance, and Polo loves 86. Mm-hmm. In 10 years from now, who's to say that Polo would never give something like BlueBox a chance, because BlueBox is way too low level on the slice of life scale. It might be something you might have something that like the hook has to be way more in depth now. And it could be something that we've already watched now, like for instance, Why You Love Clannad so much. Mm-hmm. It may need something more in depth like what Clannad provides, or it might even be more. It might even be more evolved than that at some point. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying that at some point, these hooks are going to have to continuously evolve. And, you know, we'll also probably still enjoy a bit of what we used to enjoy. You know what I mean?
He also capped us off by saying, apologies if if it read too much into that or ascribe your opinions. You don't hold, apologies if I read too much into that or ascribed your opinions. You don't hold. But the long and short of it, and thanks to Tell for talking Daima, I'm enjoying it too. Yeah, no, you don't have to apologize. This comment is spectacular. This is probably one of my favorite comments we've ever gotten, because it sent me into a think tank that I've never been in before. When I was reading it, while I was actually in the bed reading the comment. I'm like, damn, this is great points. However, at first I felt like, I think trope / the simplicity of entry level anime or shonen is an excuse. I still feel that way because I've seen more. And even as simple as it is, Demon Slayer, I still find to be one of the best entry level basic shonen out there still. And it's not just because of animation, but it's
very
just
straightforward though. It also takes you right to what you're trying to get to.
Exactly. It's something about it. It's done right. And I think the simple / tropey part of it, and the reason for Don not hitting with me as well, is because I'm over it. And for Don, he says it doesn't seem like it's a big change from previous levels of humor / tone. As you said, the show was sold to me as a comedy action, not pure action, but it started, which means that this is more of a slapsticks tone. Doesn't matter to me. If I can see if people expected it to be different, they might be shook, but it's containing a lot of bodily humor, and it doesn't surprise me, even if I don't find it funny. Yeah, and I think that's what it is, man. I think I don't know. Maybe I should look at it like a comedy first. Mm-hmm. but I still can't. I just can't. It's not funny. So like,
Hey, hear me out.
how can I find it funny if it's? How can I find it? Look at it as a comedy if it's not funny.
Hear me out, bro. I have not laughed out loud once
At this show at all. I just sit here like, okay.
And I'm not even trying to be like petty or nothing. I have not found Don to Don hilarious yet. Have I found the colors beautiful and the animation cool? Yes.
Oh my god, yeah.
But funny, I might be a little too old. I might need to go get my heating pad from my back because I'm getting too old at this point to find it funny, which it sucks. But there are things that I'm going to find funnier than this that are like probably even more slapstick. But this one just isn't necessarily doing it for me. And I think it's because of the way they handle the children.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just weird.
The way they handle the children. I think there's other anime that I would laugh at. Like I would laugh at One Punch Man, and I feel like One Punch Man is way more childish than this sometimes.
I enjoy One Punch Man.
Mob Psycho I thought was hilarious sometimes too.
Love that one.
I just don't find the way that they manipulate these children in this show to be necessarily hilarious.
It's just weird. It's just all weird. And even if you don't even like, it's impossible not to look at it in that sense because so far the entire plot is somebody trying to get their testicles back or trying to stop their peen from being stolen or try to impregnate a young, like it's just weird. Like none of it is humorous or funny. Like I don't if it just stuck to the action shit, it'd be fire though. Let's change Don to Don real quick. If he just got possessed and if she just discovered her magical powers and if they had to trope it up, man, monster of the week this shit and focus on the yokai is battling aliens. And if they just focused on that, which they could, and then the romance between the main characters, it could be something special.
And they even could still, they could even still do the taking his energy, so to speak, without having to necessarily make it about taking a child's testicles. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And if I was 12 in puberty, I would probably think that was hilarious.
True. I think people just ignored it. It's weird.
Yeah, and I understand ignoring it. I have to ignore it too. I do ignore it, but it's not one of those ignoring things where it's like I think it's funny. So the funniest thing can be is Turbo Granny at this point.
She's phenomenal.
An adult Granny, but even so, great. Turbo Granny still. She did the thing. She's the one who out here taking child regions regardless. So
sure,
it's still like
she could have been without that. Like, ugh. Anyway.
So, all right, not to tear it down, but you know.
Let's go into regards of Rob Stone's taste tell, if you will.
With regards to my personal taste, my favorite genres are fantasy, shonen, romance, sports, slice of life, mecha, and politics anime, which I think there's a few that are actually really good. Comedy, shoujo, harem, horror, and pointlessly edgy stuff generally mean I won't pick up a show unless if it is heavily recommended.
Interesting.
So edgy stuff, what would be a really edgy anime?
What is considered edgy? Yeah.
What was that one show that we couldn't finish? Ninja Kamui?
Yeah.
Would that be considered edgy?
Yes, that's a great one.
Or would something like Claymore be considered edgy?
Yeah, Berserk.
Grim Dark. I don't know, man. Claymore was great in my opinion. You said Green Dark?
Yeah, Grim Dark stuff.
Yeah. I guess that would be true.
Cowboy
Hellsing,
Bebop.
yeah, I can see Hellsing being very edgy. Hellsing also, while it was great for its time, is no longer in my top 50.
That's my favorite tail line ever, I swear. No longer in my top 50.
Hey, at least it's in the top 100 somewhere. Oh man,
this is interesting. Let's break it down. What are your favorite genres?
I mean, I would have to say fantasy action. I I'm not a comedy fan. I have not found it. There's very few comedy anime I feel like I really enjoy. And horror, while I love horror anime, I don't find many of the horror anime to actually be great. Yeah. So I will have to say like fantasy action. I can say shonen, but it's not all shonen because if you take the shonen out, I would still like it. So fantasy action, maybe, and I guess newly acquired taste, slice of life.
Yeah. For me, it's obviously slice of life, and that culminates romance and then etc. But fantasy, I will consider. I'm gonna throw fantasy in the category of isekai as well. Like that. That's just my favorite shit. I don't like mecha. I do like shoujo now. Shoujo now is my shit. So he doesn't like that. So that's interesting. And I love harem. I do. I don't know why it's a guilty pleasure of mine. And it's the most simple, most brain dead shit you would ever watch. Harem. I would never recommend it to anybody, but it's just something I enjoy.
I don't know, man. No, Amagami Sister's getting kind of good.
I don't even think that's considered a harem yet, but it is. But it is getting to something like that. But in comedy, I think I agree with y'all. Like comedies, you have to be like for example, 100 Girlfriends. I really love is coming back in the winter. I know you hate it. It's a harem comedy, and it is one that I fucking love. I die laughing. It's so funny, but it's mostly because of the harem. It was. I know. But it's hilarious to me.
I find it funnier that I did not find it funny, but it's not even that it was bad, because I did think, like, I actually didn't think it was bad. I just didn't find it funny.
Yeah, I got you. I find it hilarious for some reason though. I don't know why. Situation, I guess, is funny, and the way things happen was what I found funny. I guess not necessarily the comedy itself, so I can't really count that. Okay, he said, talk about Demon Lord, Tell. The show we were reviewing this week.
Demon Lord 2099. It was a bit of abrupt change, perhaps a bit too harsh for me. Everyone seems to have just shrugged off the impact of the last arc, and I could have used a little more groundwork, but it is better than most shows this season, so I'm in for the ride. Which, while I agree with you, the speed in which it transitioned, while it was like breakneck pace, it went straight to the next moment immediately. I feel like had they dwelled on that situation too long, it would have made this transition worse, so to speak. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying, but hear this out, okay? What I think he's specifically referring to is the gravity of the firewood situation, right? Right. The fact that they're using immortals to power the entire city is kind of like, and it's just gone. We don't even talk about that anymore. Like it never existed. Old girl's friend getting assassinated. Like the deeper, darker depths of what that implied just completely disappeared. It's gone. And now we're into another arc. That's what I think he's specifically referring to, and I couldn't agree more. It was very abrupt, and for it to change that much, but I do agree with you, because this new arc is kind of fire. Like I'm liking it a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a weird dichotomy with the pacing here, because again, while they did just abruptly change from what seemed to be a deeper overarching story outside of it just being this other guy trying to rise, I like it kind of just moved on.
Yeah, and this next level kind of implies more with the world building. I think, and this is, I guess this is like how I'm perceiving it. I do wish they had spoken on those things more, right? Specifically those things more. But I also put in the aspect or concept that like they're immortals, and yes, they probably have emotions about people that they were immortal with or that they once were with, but they have to move on, because they didn't necessarily just leave it. They were like, oh, well, we gotta go, let's find out about the other mortals who weren't used as firewood, that kind of thing, which
that is their plan.
It wasn't enough. So I agree, it wasn't enough. Like they could have given us a little bit more, like I guess a mournful moment, even if it was like 30 seconds or so, just to kind of like take that in and grieve and move on.
Yeah, not even just grieve, just figure out what the fuck is going on in this underbelly, right? Like you got the situation to where the guy gets assassinated and then the whole robot he had to fight, that just disappeared. What is the bigger overarching story at that? Who is this town's overlord, I guess, for lack of a better term? The mafia, you know what I'm saying? They did with the Yakuza, I guess, too. Like it was all that stuff happening that just completely fell by the wayside in order for them to find their other immortals. It was very strange, but you know what? As abrupt as I was, I'm still having a good time with this show. Like a great time, like enjoying it way more than I thought I ever would. For sure. He continues. He says, on the shows this season, Talking and Grieving Soul are two must-watch this season, along with BlueBox. Orb continues to be solid, but best as a binge. In 365 days is a light and enjoyable fare. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Talker is probably one of my favorites.
Talker, I think, is a club favorite at this point. Because Talker has been solid every week. Yeah. Grieving Souls, I'm having fun with it. Has also been. I think Grieving Souls is the kind of comedy that is okay. Yeah. Like I have found it, and it has grown on me. Because I know you remember in the beginning, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's grown on me. Orb, though, we just got a little bit of a exciting end to a cliffhanger, which I hate cliffhangers. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's why I agree. It's 100% better binge. But this most recent episode, I was like, oh, we might be in trouble. But yeah, bro. Yeah.
You still watching 365 Days, or were you ever watching that?
I got to catch up.
I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot.
I think I'm 3 episodes behind, but it's not that I stopped liking it. It was whenever I think he met the dad. When they met the dad.
Okay. It's so good. It's very it's light. It's easy to watch. It flies by, like the time goes by quick. But
that's the issue, is that I don't want to. It's so easy to watch that I don't want to take my eyes off of it. Yeah. So the thing is that I want to. When I say I don't want to take my eyes off it, I find it so easy to watch that it's easy for me to take my eyes off of it, but I really want to pay attention to it. So that's why I kind of want to binge it, so I can get like a time to just sit down and I want to watch all of it and not remove myself from it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. We moving on to his second chances.
Second chances. As I've said in the past, I've given extended chances to ReZero and Mushoku Tensei, as I really hated the MCs, but powered through because of what I'd heard about them. But I've never given a second chance to an anime that I had fully dropped and moved on from. I don't usually pick up or drop many, so if I do drop one, I'll find something new to replace it and never think about it again, except to put it on AniList. So hear me out. I've heard people not really like ReZero. And I can understand. I had to give ReZero a second chance.
What?
And I told you about this. It was the first episode. I never got past first episode.
That's crazy.
And I don't think it had nothing to do with ReZero directly. It was just because every time I turned it on, I was always doing something else. But I just never sat down and just was like, I'm zoned in. But I remember it was literally the third time I tried to watch it. I sat down and I literally just had nothing else going on. And I was like, nah, bro, this is great. And I have never taken my eyes off of it again. That's why it's literally the only one anime that we shared in our top 5. And it has never moved since.
Yeah, I think what I think about, he said, I hated the MCs, but powered through. I think that's the authors and the writers' intention. Because a lot of people say that about Subaru too, hating them in this. But what it does is it gives them room to write growth. And the growth they write for both of those characters is probably some of the best growth ever in anime. Ever.
Now, Rudius, here's my issue with hating Rudius, and it's not to say that you shouldn't hate him. You have your reasons to hate him, and I think that's reasonable for certain antics that he may pull. But I think they write him in such a humanizing way. that even if you're not that kind of human, you might know someone who's that kind of human, or you might see those tropes, because he still has tropes that are like ridiculous and whatnot, but
and weird,
yes, but so many other aspects of him are very humanized and understandable, so to speak, that I find it so hard to not, like how we have to overlook Don's child innuendos. I find it easy to overlook his issues when you overlap them with his so many other brigade of things that are bombarding him and hurting him. His fact that he born in this world as a child who is completely cognizant of everything going around him until he got older, and having to replace his parents and have these new family, and then watch the family get stripped from him, and then all these so different things. There's so many different things that happen to Rudius that it's very hard to not empathize and sympathize with him. But I can understand if you hate him. You hate him for your reasons. I get it.
Yes,
I find it hard. Yeah, I find it hard to hate him outside of the perversion. You know what I mean? The perversion stuff, I'm like, it's irritating.
Easy to ignore, though, I think, because
for him specifically, I think if it was something else where like the character wasn't written so well outside of that, I would be like, nah, bro, I hate him. But
it reminds me of one of our favorite shows.
What's that?
Fire Force, and people's obsession with what's her name? Tamachi, I think her name is. I can't remember.
Yeah, Tamaki.
Something like that. Yeah, and that being their biggest hang up with the show, like that. Like it's so easy to ignore because it's so minuscule and minute to the overarching world and the writing of the story. Speaking of, that's another shonen that's fucking fantastic and unbeatable with quote unquote the tropes that is, whatever. Great entry level anime. I digress.
That is extremely entry level, but it is great.
It's fucking great. Now, we good on this. We ain't got to cover the last one. To touch on, to wrap this all up, great comment from both Crystal and Rob Stone. These were fantastic, great conversations. But I do want to make an announcement that and it's way early on to be announcing this now, but I'm going to do it anyway. But come around springtime, April or so, we are going to do a rewatch as a community of Fire Force season 1 and 2 to get ready for season 3 that's coming out in April. Mm-hmm. So we are going to take 1 week to watch season 1 and then the next week to watch season 2. And we are going to cover it on the show and in the discussion boards and share them all on the podcast. So join us for that around April time, earlier April, maybe March to get that started. I know it's super early to talk about that now, but
get ready.
All right. Now, let's get to know my check waifu. It's my turn to read the question and your turn to roll around the number generator.
I'll give me a second here.
Then we're going to spoil TsumaSho. What else did we say? You remember?
A reincarnated aristocrat.
Huh?
Reincarnated aristocrat.
We didn't say that.
We didn't say that?
No.
BlueBox. TsumaSho. BlueBox. Yeah, you're right. It was BlueBox. I thought we said reincarnated aristocrat, and it was definitely BlueBox.
But it was definitely BlueBox too.
79. Well, no, because I don't think we need to review reincarnated aristocrat.
Ain't much. What anime do you think has the best ensemble cast?
What
anime do I think has the best ensemble cast? You know what? This is hard but easy at the same time. Because there's two things that came to mind instantly. Mm-hmm. One was Steins Gate. It always comes back to Steins Gate. But two was Clannad. And the reason why it's hard for me to count Clannad is because a lot of this, if its ensembleness comes with the watch of OVAs as well. If you don't know, if you haven't heard me talk about this, which most of you probably have, but Clannad is based off of a light novel, not a light novel, but a dating sim video game. So what they did, which was why I still find that Clannad to be one of my favorites of all time, is they took that dating sim aspect of it and made it into OVAs of each individual girl essentially that's within this show, and gave them their own arc with just 1 or 2 episodes. And it was spectacular. It's like a must watch to, you know, a part of Clannad that I think is very important if you watch that show. But I find it to be amazing. So I think with learning about the girls and everybody else, like the parents, I think that cast is spectacular. But I'm gonna have to go with Steins Gate with how impactful everybody is. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? What about you, Teliano?
I feel like I'm gonna go with 2, just like Polo kind of brings up. I feel like ReZero is an easy pick.
Oh, because yeah, holy shit, yeah.
The entirety of that cast is impactful. And then everybody. They all have their own kind of bag they get into when they get their moments. And you feel exactly what you're supposed to feel for every character in that show. While
witnessing growth.
Yeah, and they all have an important meaning to whatever sector or point they have in the show. So easily ReZero, but also a personal favorite of mine that I will always bring up, and I keep bringing it up, Remake Our Life. I feel like the characters in that show come together so well, especially with that main character being the focal point and having his reasons to part and compartmentalize each moment with them. That they all have a purpose, and they all kind of bring the whole story together. So yeah, those are mine.
Great choices, man. Great choices. All right, let's take this quick break, and when we come back, we're going to spoil TsumaSho and
BlueBox.
BlueBox. We'll be right back after these. to episode 280 of Mic Check Waifu. Let's talk about BlueBox, shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I was right about this one and her not really. So Fear made a good point. Fear says she's denying her feelings. Everybody know what we're talking about. We're talking about episode 10 of BlueBox. She's denying her feelings. I just don't think she knows she has feelings.
Episode 11 of BlueBox, by the way.
Sorry, episode 11 of BlueBox. I just don't think she realized she has. No, it's 10. You almost messed me up. We talk about episode 10. That's what English says here.
Okay.
You're thinking of, because in Japan it's a episode ahead, and that's how they got it in the Annie list. But
yeah, my bad.
It's cool. Apples and oranges. But she's denying her feelings because I think she doesn't understand that she has feelings yet, because she's really just learned about her situation from her friend when she was walking and they were talking about, the relationship thing and it's a good thing you're not staying with somebody who's a hot guy. And that's when she starts to coughing and shit like that. She was like, wait, I think that's when she finally realized that this is something a little bit more. And that's why she drew the line in the sand, because she then thought about Hina and him and her liking him. And it's a whole clusterfuck of shit right now. I love the way it's written though, man. It's written so well because yes, the guy isn't talking to her, but like I said, he has his goals. He has his reasons as to why he's not. You know what I'm saying? It's not just I'm too scared to talk to her or I'm fumbling to talk to her because I don't know how. While it is some sense of that because of, the situation, it's not the reason. And I think it's special. So
the issue is that is it Tina?
Hina, yeah.
Hina, I love her.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And
yep.
It sucks because we kind of get this point where it's like, bro,
we know.
I just need you to go ahead and seal the deal, bro.
With Hina.
Wait, nah. What's the Kano?
Okay. Yeah, okay.
The older one. Right? Yeah, the best. Yeah, Kano.
So you like Chinatsu. You like her.
It's not that I don't like her. I want his ambitions to be fulfilled, is what I'm saying. It's not that because I do think Hina is the better one. I agree with that. But I think that if you want something, you do have to talk, bro.
Yeah.
You gotta talk. And I understand she drew a line in the sand, but she doesn't know what he feels.
That is true.
And I say that because he hasn't said it. He hasn't spoken up. It's one thing to draw a line in the sand when you don't know what the actual interpretation is, because she doesn't actually know what he's thinking. She just knows what she's thinking. And her drawing a line in the sand is just her interpretation of like, I know that this isn't okay. Or I'm perceiving that this isn't okay and that this is a one-sided emotion. Let me draw a line here.
I wouldn't say one-sided emotion. I think she's thinking, I don't want this to be awkward because we live together. And I'm sorry for basically stepping on the awkwardness, because he became awkward after that situation because he didn't know how to feel, right? Mm-hmm. He didn't know how to feel after that happened. It got awkward and she's trying to avoid that awkwardness. She avoiding that awkwardness. More
awkward now.
Yep, exactly. So to avoid that awkwardness, she's trying to clear it up because she doesn't know how you feel, like you said. However, I still think his reason for not talking is a good one. Why would you want to distract her from nationals? Why would you ever want to get something in her head about a relationship to stop her from performing at her absolute best when this is one of her last, it's not her last chance because she still has one more year, but at nationals which is her entire dream. She literally stayed behind for this. Right. So with him being considerate enough to avoid complicating her thoughts and her feelings so she could focus on nationals, kind of fucked him over here because it made her not understand that he actually has feelings for her. She's just thinking it's awkward. Just like at the beginning when she was like ignoring her and she was confused about that. He's like, oh, well, okay, why are you ignoring me? Oh, it's because you don't want people to to assume the wrong thing, and then you got this whole situation with Hina, and Hina basically confessing that she loves him to her, kind of backhandedly, which is why I agree with you and think that he should go after his main girl, because Hina kind of like backhand inched her way in, even though she knew the situation. Right. So I don't know, man. It's tough. It's a tough situation.
And this is the only reason I think he should really say something, though, because hear me out, because I do agree with you on the aspect that why would he want to interrupt her ambitions and whatnot.
Yeah, that's the biggest deal.
Like, look, I like you.
I like you a lot. He can't do that.
Listen, he can be like, I like you a lot. But I don't want to interrupt your ambitions on going to nationals right now.
You just did. Because if you drop a bombshell on me like that, when this is all I've been focusing on, when you tell me you're actually in love with me, how the fuck am I supposed to focus?
He didn't say he was in love.
And then, come on, man, it's Japan. It's exactly what that means. He's in love.
I'm saying, look, I like you, and I want to explore our relationship after you come back from nationals.
Think about it culturally here.
I understand.
You know what I'm saying? Culturally here, they don't know how to process those feelings like right away, or even in the sense, in this particular case, that's a fucking bombshell for these kids. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they are kids, so I get it.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, and then she's never had it before or experienced it before. So how the fuck are you supposed to focus? I
just remember playing football, girls like, I like you, and I knocked this dude helmet off.
Yeah, we different.
That's all I'm saying.
We different, bro. We different. So it is. It's a tough situation, and this is why I like it so much. It's deeper than the quote unquote surface level trope that we talked about earlier in the podcast, because of all of this. Nuance. Yes, nuance, bro. That's the word. It's nuance that not a lot of anime has, and it's wonderful, man. How are you feeling? It's 25 episodes in total for this joint. So we still got quite a bit to go. Where's your head at with where is this going to go?
I think she's going to lose at nationals. I think she's going to be like, I'm about to head back home and I'm leaving Japan and be with my family. Cause they were out of Japan, right?
Yeah, they're in America.
So I'm leaving. I'm going back to my family in America. And he'll be like, he's gonna be like, look, I understand you leaving. But if you leave, that's fine. I'm gonna hit nationals. I'm gonna come see you after I win nationals, and that's gonna be the end of that. I don't know, bro.
We got so much left, but
I know that's my ending. I don't know what's happening next, bro. I have no idea.
And this is why I feel like what I'm about to say is probably going to be wrong, but this is where my slice of life intuition takes me. It's going to get very distant between the two of them, and when it becomes distant, it's going to affect her. It's going to affect her play. It's going to affect her training. It's going to affect every aspect of her, because she doesn't realize that she likes him back. And this is her starting to realizing that once that distance grow, once he give her exactly what she wanted, because you got that conversation. I even rewind this conversation, the conversation that him and Hina had at the very end of it, and her sitting like with that look of confusion, yet satisfaction, yet confusion. It's a Ms.Understandwich with this particular situation, because I think that distance that's going to grow between them is going to cause Chinatsu to overthink and fuck up on her training, and maybe even fuck up at nationals, like you said. Mm-hmm. So that is going to be the time where she then understands, I don't like this. I want what's his name? Taki. I want Taki back, and it's going to become weird, because now it's back to the triangle again. And maybe Chinatsu tells Hina, like, listen, I feel the same way you do about him. What the fuck we going to do about this?
Squabble up.
It's going to be that kind of conversation. So that's where I'm at. I could be wrong. We shall see.
I don't know, bro. I feel like that could be pretty accurate, but I don't know.
Yeah. Moving on.
TsumaSho.
Oh my gosh, bro. The Understandwich. This one hurt. This one hurt big time because
this one hurt. Like it don't hurt every week.
Yeah, every fucking week it hurts. You're right. But this one hurts the most because of my not understanding the situation, or not wanting to understand the situation, because again, she was a 10-year-old girl when she lost her mother, 10 or 11 years old when she lost her mother. And then she gets her back. And now not only does she get her mother back, she gets her mother back at a time where she is learning to actually become an adult with the help of her mother. I find that to be why it was so detrimental for her to lose her again, even though it pissed me off, because I'm like, do you not understand what's going on? Like, she is taking over this little girl. But then I'm like, fuck, I understand how she feels because of everything she's been through in this particular situation. Like, her life is looking up now that she has her mom back. And now she has to lose her again. It fucking sucks. And they said it. And it was written so well.
I think part of what you said was a bar. And it's the fact that she was learning how to become an adult with the help of her mom that she, just got back. One of the things I've been learning through my wife, because she's getting her degree in psychology in a couple of days.
Congrats.
Graduating. Thank you. I'm gonna let her know. But when you have a wound like that, where a parent dies at a certain age, when you have to relive that, you revert back to that age mentally. So she literally is like, although she is an adult, she's feeling all those 10-year-old emotions of losing her mom. She's never emotionally aged past that point because she's never tried to come to terms with that. And they are doing such a good job of like showing how they both kind of went into like this stasis where they both got locked in time emotionally and basically physically at this point. Well, not necessarily physically, but emotionally in this point to where they could not like elevate past it. They were stuck for 10 years until mom came back, and then they started trying to relive life as if
she was there.
Things just resumed. 10 years passed and you're not the same person anymore. Mai is an adult now, but when she thinks about her mom, she goes right back to that childlike nature. And they wrote this so well that I could immediately see it. And like psychologically, that is accurate. You know what I mean? That is psychologically accurate. That is not invalid at all. This show is so well thought out and written in that context, and how they even deliver this, that is crazy. And even when you go back to the previous episode where they were saying, where they exchange those words, I'll take care of Mai for me. And then you get to this episode, his resolution as to how he has to take care of Mai is beautiful, because his intention is to take accountability for the fact that he did not raise her in those 10 years, really.
Nope.
He didn't comfort her with the loss that she was experiencing.
And that was the best part. That was the best part of the show for me. That conversation between them at the door, where he was like, "Listen, he basically said, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but I fucked up. I didn't do a great job of helping you grieve and helping you get over, because I was too busy in my own grief and sorrow that I didn't raise you right. I didn't raise you at all. Like everything you've done on your own without the support of a parent. Period. Not only did you lose your mom, you lost me as well, because when I lost your mom, I lost me as well. So it was such a great conversation that, again, because you as a watcher, or me as a viewer personally, I was upset at her being upset, but I was only upset because I understood why she was upset. Sounds very weird, but it makes a lot of sense if you're watching the show. Because it is a very tough situation when you can take a step back, like we always try to tell y'all to do, take a step back and put yourself in the shoes of the character instead of thinking about what you would do. What we would do is obviously different. What you in their shoes, it'd be the fucking same, man. Like you haven't had a parent for 10 years, period.
For 10 years, right?
you just existed. And that's a tough thing to overcome in a span of what has been a year.
Yeah.
To have it back again for a year and
lose it again for a month.
Yep. And then and now it's about to be the final goodbyes.
And that's what also is so beautiful about this is that it is about that moving forward and coming to that resolution. What I was feeling during this episode, and I don't know if you felt this way, but I know this episode was 23 minutes.
Yeah.
I felt like that conversation at the doorway was like 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
The rest of the episode was like 10 seconds. I'm like sitting there watching that specific segment. I know that segment was only maybe like 3 or 4 minutes, bro.
Yeah.
It was not that long, but I felt like I was watching that part for 15 minutes. Like, oh my God, this is happening this way.
Can I keep it real with you?
Go ahead, bro.
The biggest, everybody's the biggest victim in this show. Like, it hurts. Everybody is at rock bottom in this particular situation, adult wise, right? Well, you got Takai, which is not supposed to be there, who possessed a little girl who's conflicted about taking this little girl's life over, basically ruining her childhood for an entire year. Okay. To Kisuke losing his wife, his anchor, his everything. To Mai losing her mom, her anchor, her everything. To fucking Chika, who's basically lost her husband, then to take it all out on her daughter, to learn that she was a piece of shit of a parent for that time that she took it out on her daughter, to know that she hasn't had her daughter in a year, to now she has to hopefully get her daughter back. And then to Miori, who is the girl who fell in love with Kaisuke, knowing she have to wait for him to not fall out of love, but to fall in love with her. Everybody's a victim of circumstances that fucking suck. And it's hard. Renji is the only one, Renji is the only one that has the through line that everybody else needs to get. Because he lost his crush, his childhood friend, his crush. And he's able to get over it with Mai now. But he's able to push past it. Everybody else needs to follow his example, funny enough.
Right. He's also the most disconnected from this situation.
Exactly.
Everybody else done talk to the mom at this point, and it's like, sheesh.
Yeah, it's all stuff.
These emotions are high.
Very much so. I really hope Crystal watched this. I've been trying to get her to watch it. She's not. It's been killing me.
How do you think this next episode gonna go, bro?
It's about to be the saddest of them all because it's the goodbye.
We crying?
We definitely crying.
We crying?
I was in tears this episode. I'm going to be damn for sure in tears this next one because it's it. It's such a great one and done show that it doesn't need anymore. I'm going to propose something to you. Talk to me.
I'm going to propose that you and I do something special for this finale.
What's that?
That we watch it on Patreon. And
I'm not doing that. Nah.
You know
what? No. I can't do that with this one. Can't do it. This one I'm too invested in. I'm too deep in. It's not a good one. I can't be distracted. I can't be held back in my feelings because I'm on camera. No, I'm not doing that. You can't do that. It's impossible. We could do that with another show eventually, but that's a good idea for another show, but this one ain't it.
For the finale, Polo said, y'all not gonna see me cry on camera.
Yeah, it's not even about that. It's just the fact that I'm just so invested that I can't.
Oh man,
I can't think about being on camera or even here. Like even when I'm in Discord and I'm watching anime and I'm on TsumaSho, I mute Discord and I mute myself. Like I don't want to hear no distractions. I don't want to see anything else. It's just that.
I ain't mad at you. I feel you. I feel you, bro.
But I'm at Polo Bornfly on all social media.
I'm at King Teliano on all social media.
You can follow our social medias at Mic Check Waifu on Mic Check Waifu on Blue Sky. And at Mic Check Waifu Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. And as always, Mic Check.
You're now tuned into Mic Check Waifu. that you? Is that you? Is that you? Is that you? Is that you?